Number 5, the beginning of what would become one of the most legendary feuds in WWE history.
Mm-hmm.
Mankind and The Undertaker in the Boiler Room Brawl. Now, I got to be honest. I know you have seen your fair share of Mankind Taker matches. Have you ever seen, up until now, the Boiler Room Brawl? Was that your first time seeing
I
it?
remember it vaguely.
Okay.
But remember, when you watch these things, dude, I'm small.
This was 96, so you're like 8.
Yeah, to me that's small, dude.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
I'm in my own bag. I'm watching. I'm getting the splash of this stuff. I'm not really fully attentive to it.
Yeah.
My back is turned to the TV, playing games on another smaller TV in the corner.
There you go.
So, yeah.
Double Dragon Battletoads all day long.
Yeah, but this one, you know what? I correct me if I'm wrong, but to me, it's what's so impressive about this. It's like, yeah, Mankind is gonna, like we just talked about, is gonna kill himself, right?
When in doubt, kill yourself.
But Taker, and again, please correct me if I'm not saying this correctly, but like, it's a little out of character for Taker to be in these type of brawls, or as we know that feud to continue, as I would classify these matches as like pretty hardcore.
Yes.
And I just wouldn't classify Undertaker as a hardcore wrestler, but in this series of bouts between him and Mankind, I mean, you got to at least put the tag on him, cuz they went pretty hardcore, especially in this one.
Yeah, so that's actually one of the it's funny to say. It's weird to hear out loud, but when Mick was looking for work, when his WCW contract was up and he went to ECW, Mick was looking for another opportunity. It was Jim Ross, it was Pat Patterson, it was Jim Cornette, it was a few people who brought Mick to Vince's attention, and Vince didn't like him. He didn't like the look, he didn't like the style, he didn't like anything about him, but he didn't know him either. So they had a meeting. It went pretty okay. He was going to give him a chance. He was going to give him an opportunity. And that's where the Mankind thing started. They came up with the concept with the mask and everything, and they came up with the character of him being this demented soul and just like a basement dweller, and he was like psychotic. He pulled his own hair out. He stabbed himself with like he was just a maniacal fucking, as Cornette would put it, a very Michael Myers-like character. The thing about the hardcore style you're talking about is that was Cactus Jack's style, but they didn't want him to be Cactus Jack. So he, in Mick's mind, Cactus was very famous as a character for inflicting damage. Even if it hurt himself, he would inflict damage. For whatever reason, as the Mankind character, he felt Mankind's character was always strongest when he was receiving the damage, not so much giving. So, as a hardcore wrestler, when he wrestled the regular matches, yes, he would be aggressive. Like when he had jobbers or enhancement talents, he would be a little bit more aggressive, but he wanted to cause more pain. So, Mankind was a character that could take a beating like nobody else. And The Undertaker was a character that dealt out damage like nobody else. It was a yin and yang. So the beautiful part about the Boiler Room Brawl is that it forced The Undertaker to do something he never really did, which was take crazy bumps. Taker didn't take crazy bumps. Taker barely bumped. In the beginning of his career in the 90s in the WWE, he never really fell down. And then as the mid-90s came and he started fighting more giants, he'd fall down a little bit more, take a few more bumps here and there, but he wasn't really having classic wrestling matches where it's feed, up, down, all that stuff. He got a chance to do it with Mick because, as Taker said, they will believe it when he hits me. When he hits me, they believe it because he's that crazy, he's that wild. That's the opposite to The Undertaker. Taker is dark and sinister, but he's calculating and he's cold. He is without feeling. Mankind feels everything. The problem is he feels everything all at once, and it drives him fucking insane to the point where the pain numbs him. So when you beat on Mankind, you're helping him. That's the Boiler Room Brawl. That's how that is to be explained. Mankind is a character that revels in shit like that. And I think, and I mentioned it to you on the rundown, the most beautiful part about that match, what makes it so unique, it didn't have commentary in the boiler room. They didn't have start talking about the match until they left. So it's all natural sounds. It's the piping, it's the weapons, it's the grunting, it's the breathing heavy. It feels like a fight, like a brawl between two individuals. And then, of course, there's that unfortunate ending when they make their way outside of the boiler room into the ring, and then Paul Bearer does the unthinkable and does the turn and leaves the Undertaker, becomes full heel with Mankind, and eventually with Vader, excuse me. That one caught up to me. I'm not editing that out. Fuck it. We're natural human beings. But that's how that happened with the Boiler Room Brawl, and that to me is why it's one of the biggest moments in history, because it brought out the best in both individuals, and we would continue to see that throughout their rivalry, ending, of course, with one of the greatest hardcore moments in history in the Hell in a Cell, which would happen about 2 years after this match. On and off, these motherfuckers fought for years, and that's where it culminated, but it begins here. I know they had a Survivor Series match. Was it Survivor Series? No, I think this was the first match here, and Survivor Series 96 was another rematch that they had. But this was the beginning of the rivalry between these two. I can give you all the